Can the all-wheel drive performance sedan win you over with its charm? The Vauxhall Insignia is a sensible car, well-priced, practical, and relatively economical, but not necessarily the most exciting thing on four wheels. The Insignia GSI aims to redress the balance. Available in Grand Sport Sedan or Sports Tourer wagon guises, GSI badge cars get a 2.0-liter turbocharged gas engine producing 257 horsepower, 191 kilowatts, and 295 pound-feet, 400 newton-meters, of torque. All-wheel drive, an 8-speed automatic gearbox, sports suspension, and Brembo brakes means that this Vauxhall has all of the kit to be something a bit special. Those opting for the more practical Sports Tourer have another engine to choose from. A 2.0-liter Bitturbo diesel engine might produce less power than the gas-powered version, 198 HP, 147 kilowatts, but a hefty 354 lb-ft, 479 Nm, of torque. How fast is it? We don't know yet. Vauxhall neglected to release any official performance data on the cars, however, we do know that it has spent some development time at the Nürburgring. More sporting body kit features on the Insignia GSI bring reworked bumpers, skirts, and a subtle boot spoiler. A set of 20-inch alloy wheels and dual exhaust pipes are a less subtle means to define this new range-topping Vauxhall. While clearly the least sober Insignia of the range, these are still cars that people will use every day, and so things like fuel economy are important. The gas model is said to return 32.5 mpg, and the diesel 38.7 mpg combined. Pricing has yet to be announced, but the new Vauxhall Insignia GSI will hit the road in early 2018. Read also: sporty Vauxhall Insignia GSI headed to Frankfurt. 2017 Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer review, looks good value. 2017 Vauxhall Insignia Grand Sport first drive. The first time in the awards history that Detroit automakers haven't had a car in the running. The times they are a change in. Bob Dylan called it back in 1964, and though we highly doubt he was referring to the future of the auto industry, his classic song nevertheless applies to the current reality facing Detroit automakers. The eligibility list for the prestigious 2018 North American Car of the Year award has been announced, and for the first time in the history of the ceremony, there isn't a single car from Detroit in the running. This is sure to be a point of discussion for many of you out there, but before the opinions start flying about quality or design, let's consider the eligibility requirements to make the cut in the first place. Aside from being a legitimately good car, the vehicle must also be new or substantially updated for the model year in question. Taking a quick look through current American cars, we find there really isn't anything from General Motors, Ford, or Fiat Chrysler automobiles that meets this criteria. Does that mean Detroit is just in a bit of a lull right now for cars? Possibly, but there's also the ever-growing market of Nikola Powersports has announced the finalized specifications for its 4-seat UTV Nikola Zero, which goes on sale next year, and they are pretty awesome. The all-electric Nikola Zero will be available in two fairly incredible performance options. 415 HP and 3,675 feet lbs of torque, from $35,000. 555 HP and 4,900 feet lbs of torque. There will also be 3 battery options, 75, 100, and a whopping 125 kWh. The largest one should give the Zero the ability to go 200 miles in 4x4 off-road mode. We are not sure what the price will be for the top-of-the-line 555 HP, 125 kWh version, but quite frankly it will be a lot of fun, and one likely would seriously injure or kill oneself driving it before the last payment came due, so who cares about a pesky thing like pricing? Nikola Powersports said that dealerships can begin reserving production units starting in January of 2018, after the first dealer ride and drive event, planned for this December in St. George, Utah. Trevor Milton, Nikola CEO, said the Nikola Zero will be the first UTV to come with optional anti-lock braking systems, ABS, stability control, anti-rollover, traction control and torque vectoring. Normally these options are reserved for high-end sports cars and not normally found in UTVs. We have worked hard to make these UTVs street legal, and in many states, you may be able to drive the Nikola Zero UTV to work. Once you test drive the Nikola Zero, you will want to trade in your current UTV. No other competitor UTV can match the Nikola Zero's performance. We are not talking about a few seconds faster than the competition, we are talking about laps faster, with speeds up to 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds with 4 passengers inside. Standard features include 100% electric power steering, 20 front and rear suspension travel, 14 ground clearance, 62 wide frame, 4 independent electric motors, 32 tires, beadlock wheels, tow hitch, over-the-air software updating, 10 infotainment center display, 7 instrument cluster, multiple color options, IP67 waterproofing, LED headlights, tail lights, and custom seats, all with a 2-year warranty. Optional features include 555 HP upgrade, street legal package, some states, 4x4 torque vectoring system, ABS, anti-roll protection, traction control, front and rear 4,500 pounds winches, factory audio system, 15 kilowatts power export at 110/220V, 4 kilowatts solar 400 volt DC charger, LED interior lighting, rider profiles, front windshield, mirrors, cameras and a 4-year extended warranty package. Spec: 100-200 mile range, 100% electric drive, 400 volts, 555 horsepower, 75 kilowatt-hour, 100 kilowatt-hour, or 125 kilowatt-hour battery. 4x4 all-wheel drive. 4,900 Ft lbs torque. Instant torque in 1 sec. 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. 2-year warranty. 20 suspension. 32 tires. 14.5 ground clearance. Optional 10-degree rear steering. IP67 waterproof motor and gearbox. 10 infotainment and 7 cluster. A weird transmission is the main letdown in an otherwise satisfactory economical luxury sedan. San Francisco, California. Fuel economy still matters to buyers who can afford a car approaching 6-figure territory, but that doesn't mean hybrid variants of luxury sedans are especially popular. Lexus expects this hybrid version will account for only about 10% of all 2018 Lexus LS sales. When we're talking about a car projected to sell 1,000 units per month in the US, that's not much. but spending some time behind the wheel reveals that the LS hybrid ably manages to blend its virtues of thriftiness and stateliness. Its powertrain is borrowed from the LC500H coupe. There's a port and direct injected 3.5-liter V6 engine mated to two electric motor/generators, along with a complicated transmission that combines both a CVT and a 4-speed automatic. Otherwise, though, you'll find all the same luxury touches and features as in the regular Lexus LS500, meaning this hybrid is a pretty pleasant way to save fuel behind the wheel. Pros: drives like a non-hybrid. Aside from the powertrain, more on that below, the LS500H feels just like the non-H models. The brake blending is flawless, with almost no discernible difference in pedal feel or travel between the regenerative and friction brakes, that makes smooth, predictable stops easy. The steering and suspension, too, closely mimic those of the non-hybrid. If you take away the engine, then, the hybrid drives just as well as the standard LS, smooth, competent, and easy to use. The subtle hybrid. There are no glaring indicators from the outside that you picked the hybrid, no bright green brake calipers, for instance, or overly blatant badges. While eco-conscious buyers may want to flaunt their car's hybrid credentials, for other luxury shoppers, the LS500H's discretion is a plus. Mild bodywork tweaks, however, do make the hybrid a tiny bit more aerodynamic, with a drag coefficient of 0.27 versus the regular LS's 0.28. Noticeable fuel economy gains. With rear-wheel drive, the LS500H posts an extra 6 miles per gallon city and 4 mpg highway at 25-33 mpg. The all-wheel drive model posts slightly smaller gains, but adding 5 mpg city and 4 mpg highway for totals of 23-31 is still a nice boost in efficiency. Still crazy accommodating. Massaging seats, a powered ottoman for the right rear passenger, silky smooth air suspension, and an impressively crisp 3D surround sound system make the inside of this LS more glamorous than my living room. Like the non-hybrid, you'll be hard-pressed to find fault with this car's quietness, comfort, or amenities. Cons. Deal breaker: transmission. The way the transmission delivers power to the road would preclude me from buying this car on its own. It has all the downsides of a traditional CVT, with the same rubber band effect that frustrates in many other hybrids. Accelerate and the engine's revs will soar out of pace with how fast the car builds speed. I never feel a sense of directness when accelerating. It's a frustrating dichotomy from the precise and smooth 10-speed automatic in the standard Lexus LS500. Add in the fact that the engine thrashes and moans at those higher revs, and it's enough to make me want to simply spend the extra in gas for the non-hybrid LS. Distracting infotainment system. Just like in the regular LS, the touchpad-based infotainment system is both a chore to use and endlessly distracting. Simple tasks like turning on the heated/cooled seats or picking a satellite radio station require jumping through multiple menus, and using a cursor that's activated by a touchpad always requires taking my eyes off the road. It doesn't plug in. Where most of the Lexus's rivals are plug-in hybrids, the LS is not. Lexus officials explained that away by noting that it can be tough to find a charging spot, that this powertrain was focused more on performance, and so on. But it feels behind the times, especially for a company focused on developing alt-fuel vehicles like the Toyota Prius Prime and Mirai fuel cell car. Quit whining. Perhaps partly because the cabin is so good at excising road and wind noise, electrical whining is quite noticeable when using the regenerative brakes or driving with the engine off. It's a high-pitched sound that irks me given that the car otherwise stays very quiet. Competitors: BMW 740e, Cadillac CT6 plug-in, Mercedes-Benz S560e, Porsche Panamera 4e hybrid. Minor tweaks to the Lexus NX and CT set to premiere at the Frankfurt Motor Show. The refreshed Lexus NX crossover and CT hatchback look largely the same, albeit with some slightly different clothing and accessories. Both models are set to share the stage at the 2017 Frankfurt Motor Show to show off some minor styling enhancements inside and out, and new technology to help enforce the brand's new "Experience Amazing" tagline. The Lexus NX's facelift includes a redesigned front bumper and grille, adorned with new projector headlamps that look more similar to the brand's LC Coupe. Out back, the compact crossover gets slightly squintier tail lights and a reshaped rear bumper with L-shaped chrome accents. On the inside, the NX is most notably graced with a beautiful 10.3-inch center infotainment display and utilizes redesigned HVAC switches and metallic satin finished controls. Underneath, the NX receives minor improvements to its suspension and employs the new adaptive variable suspension system to improve overall ride and handling. The sole European market powertrain, a 2.5-liter engine paired with two electric motors, soldiers on, as well as the turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine for other markets. Next to the NX, the updated CT will flaunt its refreshed front fascia, more aggressive grille design, and new LED daytime running lights. At the back, the rear bumper receives similar L-shaped design elements with new, slightly 3D tail lights. As we previously reported, the new CT will not reach American shores due to poor sales. The little hybrid hatch is also granted with the massive 10.3-inch center display found in the freshened NX crossover, accented with new interior color schemes and finishes. Although the 1.8-liter gas engine matched with an electric motor powertrain remains, the CT gains the Lexus safety system that comes with a pre-collision system, dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure alert, and automatic high beams. At the Lexus display, in place of the traditional press conference, the brand is offering a look at these refreshed models through the lens of augmented glasses with a guided tour from the brand's head of Lexus Europe, Alain Eitenhover. With the i30N hot hatchback, today saw Hyundai's European division take the wraps off the i30 Fastback. Not exactly a hatchback nor a sedan, the Fastback body style serves as the prettiest offering in the compact-sized models lineup. A road previously taken by Audi with the A5 Sportback and BMW with the 3 Series Gran Turismo, the i30 Fastback isn't just a good-looking car. The shape of the hatch makes it fairly practical as well, but one area where the Fastback falls short of the bog-standard i30 is headroom for the rear passengers. The Fastback further differentiates itself on an aesthetic level thanks to a more snazzy take on the Hyundai cascading grille. Different daytime running lights and an angled front spoiler are on the menu as well. A look inside the Fastback reveals that some things aren't meant to be changed. An interior that mirrors the design of the i30 hatchback. The onboard highlights include wireless charging for Qi-enabled smartphones, think Samsung Galaxy S8, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, and a fair quality of the materials. All in all, not a bad effort from Hyundai. 4,455 mm long, 115 mm more than the i30 hatchback, and 30 mm lower than the model on which it's based, the Fastback sits 5 mm lower to the ground thanks to a sportier suspension setting. In fact, stiffness has been increased by 15% to aid driving dynamics. We are the first volume brand to enter the compact segment with a stylish and sophisticated 5-door coupe. declared Thomas Burkle, chief designer at Hyundai Europe. Our team was able to achieve a pure design, which combines the sports car spirit with the comfort of a luxurious sedan. Pricing has yet to be made public, but the wait won't be long, for the i30 Fastback is set to enter production by the end of the year. An assortment of 3 and 4-cylinder engines will have to suffice, including a thrifty 1.6-liter CR-DID turbo diesel coupled to a manual or a dual-clutch transmission. With a bit of luck, the N division might apply the Go Faster treatment to the i30 Fastback as well. Hyundai has refused to comment on this possibility. Finally, Hyundai has revealed its first true performance car under the N badge. The i30N wasn't exactly the best kept secret, but its debut still managed to surprise by bundling nearly all the features that a Golf GTI, Megane Rs, or Civic Type R has. So, let's start with the look. It's a little understated compared to the Civic Type R, but that's probably a good thing. It seems like the i30N was designed by the same people as the Kona, as it too has contrasting body cladding. Our favorite view is from the back, where twin exhausts are framed by the diffuser. Overall, it's a sporty alternative to the Golf GTI that won't make you feel ashamed when picking up your mother-in-law at the airport. For me, the interior is a slight letdown, even though the steering wheel and seats have been uplifted. In a hot hatch these days, you just want to have some carbon or a big piece of red trim on the dash. But the i30N's cabin is as black and somber as a funeral. As the numerous reports suggested, there will be 2 flavors available. The base i30N packs a 250 PS version of Hyundai's 2.0-liter turbo and will get from 0 to 100 km per hour in 6.4 seconds. The engine offers direct response with a linear power development, and is available with front-wheel drive and a 6-speed manual transmission. Bigger brakes, wheels and better tires accompany the 275 PS model, which also delivers 352 Nm of torque, 260 lb-ft. That one will get to 100 km per hour in 6.1 seconds, and both seem to have a top speed of 155 miles per hour, 250 km per hour, probably dictated by a limiter. The tech that will help you go faster and have more fun is plentiful. For example, the i30N comes with an electronically controlled limited slip differential, E-LSD, that allows driven wheels to turn at different speeds by applying different amounts of torque depending on the load transfer. Also, it has electronic controlled suspension, rev matching, launch control and a lap timer. 5 different driver modes, Eco, Normal, Sport, and N, turn the i30N from mild-mannered everyday car to track toy. You can even make your own preset with the N custom setup. With over 10,000 kilometers, 6,200 miles, of Nürburgring track punishment under its belt, reliability shouldn't be a problem either. So as long as the price is right, the i30N should be a winner, striking the same balance between comfort, tech, and fun as the GTI. The little Kwid crossover gets a sporty makeover at the Indonesian International Auto Show. The little Renault Kwid crossover is quite a success in Asia, and the French brand imagines a completely different style for the CUV by debuting the sporty extreme concept at the Indonesian International Auto Show. The vehicle sports a wild body kit and big wheels that give the model a performance-oriented look. Extreme is the perfect word for this Kwid. Renault adds a new front fascia with bold, red highlights and prominent LEDs. Matching touches decorate the center of the hood, and there are LED highlights around the headlights. The firm also fits wider fenders, prominent side sills, and an aggressive set of AMG wheels. The rear follows the same style. Fake air vents decorate the sides of the bumper, and there's a huge diffuser. A massive wing sits on the roof. The sporty changes don't extend to the interior, though. After installing such an aggressive body kit, it's odd that the cabin is so staid. The powertrain also remains stock. In Asia, the Kwid uses the 1.0 SCE engine with 68 HP and a 5-speed manual gearbox. Nothing as wild as the Kwid Extreme is actually on the way, but buyers can get the outsider variant in 2018. It will have plastic appliques on the sides for a slightly more aggressive look. The Extreme isn't Renault's first time imagining a sport Kwid. In 2016, the company brought the Kwid Racer concept, above, to the Auto Expo in India. The company ripped out the rear seats, and the firm fitted a roll cage and 4-point harnesses. On the outside, the model featured a blue exterior with red accents and carbon fiber fenders. Some big brakes sat behind a set of 18-inch wheels. Spain. My friend Bob owns a fleet of cars that includes a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and several Porsches. He always purchases the top spec version, because like Spinal Tap's Nigel Tufnell, he likes the ones that go to 11. For example, Bob would never buy a 911 GT3 RS because the GT2 RS has more power. For Bob, buying the 2018 Aston Martin DB11 V8, Gaydon's first Grand Tourer with fewer than 12 cylinders in nearly 20 years, would be an act of blasphemy. Normally, we'd agree. But in this case, we'd argue that Bob should think about dialing it back to 8. The new 8-cylinder Aston is a product of the brand's partnership with Mercedes-Benz, which started to bear fruit when elements of the German company's electronic architecture made its way into the DB11. Now, the 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 that powers the Mercedes-AMG C63S, among others, becomes the first Benz engine to find its way under the hood of an Aston. Mind you, Aston didn't simply drop a stock AMG engine under the DB11's aluminum clamshell hood. The Brits fiddled with the mill to inject a character more befitting of tea and cucumber sandwiches than sausage and sauerkraut. When the team dialed in the sound for the DB11 V8, they really looked at the sound waves, said an Aston Martin representative. The types of frequencies that come through AMG products' exhaust are very low. We wanted to remove quite a bit of that and concentrate on the mid to high frequencies. We sound mapped both systems to make sure the Aston had a unique sound alongside the AMG version. Bespoke parts added by Aston to the V8 include the air intake, exhaust, and wet sump oil pan. The ECU is also reprogrammed. The actual ECU hardware is the same, but the tune and software are different, added Ben Husband, Aston's senior manager of powertrains. It's about how we can get the character out of the V8 to fit our car, from throttle progression to sound. It's also integrating all into the vehicle, especially the gearbox, which is the same 8-speed ZF automatic found in the V12 powered version of the DB11. The more compact V8, along with its smaller cooling system, helps shave an impressive 253 pounds off of the DB11's curb weight. Additionally, mass is shifted rearward, flip-flopping weight distribution from 51/49 front to rear to 49/51. Chief Engineer Matt Becker used this as an opportunity to tweak the DB11's chassis. In addition to spring, damper, and sway bar changes, the rear subframe carries stiffer bushings and the engine mounts were changed to match, Becker said. We also changed the front brake pistons for shorter pedal travel, so it works as a cohesive package. The idea of the DB11 V8 is to inject an added degree of sportiness to Aston's 2+2 GT. It's clear Gaydon nailed that goal within the first mile behind the wheel in northeast Spain. The steering carries more weight and the sprightlier DB11 V8 changes directions far quicker than its V12 powered sibling, while eager is the perfect descriptor for the Aston tweaked V8. It offers gobs of power everywhere and requires fewer revs than the V12 to extract maximum grunt. Its 503 HP peak comes at 6,000 RPM versus 6,500 RPM for the 600 HP V12. Despite the 97 HP deficit, the DB11 V8 is only a tenth of a second behind the V12 in the sprint from 0 to 62 miles per hour, 4.0 versus 3.9. One key is that the V8 is down a mere 18 lb-ft of torque, offering 498 lb-ft between 2,000 and 5,000 RPM versus the 516 lb-ft of the V12, while having just 3,880 pounds of car to move instead of nearly 4,200 pounds. Add in the nimbler chassis, and it's only acceleration at triple-digit speeds where the 12 outshines the 8. Some buyers will undoubtedly have concerns about the engine note that comes along with dropping 4 cylinders despite Aston's hard work, as V12s usually sound glorious. One advantage for the DB11 V8 is that when Aston fitted a pair of turbochargers to the V12 for the DB11, it lost a bit of the raw sonic brilliance of its naturally aspirated predecessor. You really need to rev the V12 in the DB11 for your ears to tingle. Not so with the V8, orally, it's a classy but extroverted beast from the first stab of the throttle, especially in the most aggressive sport end mode. The Mercedes-AMG engine works great with the freshly honed chassis. The DB11 V8 feels much smaller and tidier on the road compared to its more powerful and $13,000 more expensive big brother. The transmission is also happier hitched to the V8, though it's still not the fastest or smoothest cogswapper on the market. There's no doubt the DB11 V8 is still a proper GT car and not a hardcore sports car. A new Vantage arrives in 2018 to carry that torch for Aston. Flying down the smooth, Spanish autopistas through gentle curves, picturesque hills, and exhaust-echoing tunnels at 130+ mph revealed that the DB11 V8 gives up none of the V12 DB11's mile-munching, grand touring ability. Body control is spot-on, especially in the middle sport setting of the three-way adjustable suspension. However, the energetic V8 can't fix certain quirks inherent to the DB11. Its bulky A-pillars and side view mirrors compromise outward visibility by blocking the front three-quarter view. The styling of the DB11 may not be quite as easy to fall in love with compared to the near-timeless DB9, but the new car's extroverted, stunning design was bound to bring along some visionary concessions. Inside, the seat controls, door handles, power center armrest, and slider audio volume control all seem like cheeky details that nobody asked for. They come off as a case of Aston designers simply showing off. Sure, The features give the DB11 a unique feel, but at what ergonomic expense? There are also shortcomings when it comes to functionality and attention to detail. Cabin storage is extremely sparse, the lack of a glove box is particularly frustrating. The DB11 V8's shift paddles carry a welcomed shorter throw compared to the V12 version, but they still don't engage with a tactile feel befitting of the segment. Additionally, the ventilated seats are weak and there are cheap-feeling details in certain areas like the folding cup holders and storage compartments in the trunk. Minor detail grievances aside, Aston Martin has done an excellent job overall with the DB11 V8. The coupe has been fine-tuned into a more cohesive, focused package with little to no dilution to the model's impressive GT nature. Sure, the DB11 is technically quicker, but the DB11 V8 is the better car 90% of the time. While a buyer like Bob will always go for the best, most expensive, version, he doesn't know what he's missing by always turning the knob to 11. Frankfurt, Germany, Mercedes-AMG is celebrating 3 consecutive years of Formula One Manufacturers' World Championships, and corresponding Drivers' Championships for Lewis Hamilton, twice, and Nico Rosberg, with a car aimed at the heart of Bugatti, a marque that hasn't competed in Grand Prix since the 1930s. By the time the Mercedes-AMG Project 1 is delivered to such lucky customers as Hamilton, who is likely to get a big break on the $2.53 million price, the Mercedes-AMG team may have its 4th consecutive Manufacturers' Championship. While Volkswagen Group's Bugatti Chiron gets its 1,479 horsepower from a relatively conventional quad-turbocharged W16, the Project 1's 1,000 plus horsepower comes directly from the racetrack, apparently making it a, well, road-legal F1 car to Bugatti's road-legal NHRA top fuel dragster. Mercedes-AMG says the Project 1 is the first road car with an unbridled F1 engine under its hood. That engine is a 1.6-liter turbocharged V6 with an electric turbo and another electric motor connected to the crankshaft. Not to F1 spec, 2 extra electric motors that power the front wheels. It has all-wheel drive with torque vectoring, and puts its power through an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters for its only forward gear controls. By now you're asking yourself, should I buy one? Here's what you need to know before you decide to write a 6-figure deposit check. Point 1. With just 1,000 horsepower, the Mercedes-AMG Project 1 will not be the quickest, most powerful hypercar extant. You can't count the Project 1 as having 625 horsepower per liter because some of those horses come from the 4-motor hybrid system. But with a mid-engine F1 power plant under the rear hood, you have to realize it's not all about straight-line performance. AMG says top speed is 217 miles per hour, which sounds suspiciously close to the top speeds Lewis Hamilton hits on the fastest circuits in the series. The way you win a race is to finish a lap in the quickest form, Ola Kalenius, Mercedes-Benz Cars Research and Development Chief says. There are quicker cars than an F1 car in a straight line, but there are no quicker cars around a track. 2. It may have an F1 powertrain, but its chassis is streetwise. The mostly carbon fiber body isn't like an open-wheel, open-top F1 car, and the suspension is different, too, though Mercedes-AMG sourced a lot of the same suppliers, including Multimatic for its roll and heave push rods, which stand in for anti-roll bars by countering each other under lateral force. 3. Project 1 has its own kind of DRS. For full downforce in the corners, Project 1 lowers its suspension and two-piece rear wing flips up to the level of that crazy F1-style shark fin wing. Also, those three flaps on top of each front fender rise up 0.4. Unlike the race engine, the Project 1's W08 engine is built for more than a few races or even a season. Colin Chapman once described the perfect race engine for his Formula 1 Lotus cars as one that would blow itself up as soon as his car took the checkered flag. Modern F1 engines are much more reliable, but as built for the track, even the W08's hybrid V6 wouldn't last very long in a street customer's hands. While certain components of the Project 1 hybrid V6 are built to be more robust, they're not necessarily heavier. First, remove the batteries, as the Mercedes-AMG Project 1 has 4 packs to power its 4 motors, while the Mercedes-AMG W08 has just 1. Once you take disparate battery needs out of the equation, Project 1's engine weighs about the same as W08's, says René Wollman, project engineer, though he declines to reveal what that number is. Wollman also declines to reveal how much the entire Project 1 weighs. There's time for some final tweaking. We have to save something for next year, and its press conference, he says. But Wollman assures us that when the car's weight is revealed, we'll be pleasantly surprised. 5. Multiple drive modes. Like other Mercedes-AMG models, and indeed, most Benz's, Project 1 will offer 4 drive modes, plus an EV mode. You'll be able to reserve about 15.5 miles of pure electric driving for the city center. As for other drive modes, Wollman says the nomenclature is still under discussion. There will be a kind of qualifying mode, he says, that will take advantage of the battery reserve for full power to supplement the turbo V6, and there will be a race mode with hybrid assistance. 6. Carbon ceramic brakes are standard, of course. Carbon ceramics provide superior stopping distances while thriving on heat. They have no advantage or disadvantage in aiding the brake regeneration system. 7. About that air intake. AMG engineers are still tweaking the shape of the air intake on the Project 1's top to maximize its effect on the engine. 8. Design emphasizes function over form. The Mercedes-AMG Project 1 will not be the prettiest car on the road by any means, though the same could be said for most modern racing cars. Project 1 has a purposeful look, and if its lower front fascia reminds you a bit of the McLaren F1 road cars, well, then that's probably because the fascia shape works for purposes of speed. Wollman especially likes the carbon fiber that designers left unpainted, such as the front hood louvers, the lower fascias and the wheel openings. We started with the powertrain first, Wollman says, and then we asked design chief Gordon Wagner to do aerodynamics that we'd like to see. 9. It's no S-Class inside. The 2 seats are integrated into the tub shell and allow for just 5 degrees of seat back adjustment with no fore-aft. Instead, the steering wheel and the pedals move, just like a Formula 1 car, Wollman says. The F1 style steering wheel also made it possible to place the instrumentation above the wheel, so the driver doesn't have to look down, away from the road, to see speed or revs, for instance. AMG considered a removable steering wheel, Woolman says, but one would not have worked with the required driver's airbag. There's also an airbag for the passenger, plus plans for 2 to 4 more. The car also has catalytic converters and will meet all safety and emissions standards, including for the US. Asked whether he's driven the car yet, CEO Dieter Zetsche said he hasn't because interior noise levels from the engine need to be reduced from their current state of 125 decibels, another regulatory no-no. 10. They're not exactly sold out, but would you like to get on the waiting list? Invites went out to certain loyal Mercedes buyers, some of whom were at the Project One's unveiling at the 2017 Frankfurt Auto Show. They have plunked down 6-figure deposits, and we hear the number of interested potential buyers was about 4 times the 275 examples Mercedes-AMG intends to build in 2019 and 2020. Bonus fact, Project One will post a profit. So says Ola Kalyanius, even though F1 engines can easily cost 7 figures and even though certain other manufacturers might be willing to take a hit just to celebrate 3 world championships and to put this sort of car in its showrooms. We'll never learn what its profit margin is, of course, but consider this, at €2.275 million, or about $2.53 million each, we figure gross revenues from this car will be roughly equal to that of 12,000 nicely equipped Mercedes-Benz E-classes.